to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. So let's just get into some other information before we get into the main story. The Little Mermaid is a Danish literature fairy tale written by Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. The story follows the journey of a young mermaid who is willing to give up her life in the sea as a mermaid to gain a human soul. The tale was first published in 1837 as part of a collection of fairy tales for children. The original story has been a subject of multiple analysis by scholars such as Jacob Bogild and Pernille Higard, as well as folklorist Maria Tatar. These analyses cover various aspects of the story, from interpreting the theme to discussing why Anderson chose to write a tragic story with a happy ending. It has been adapted to various media, such as musical theater, anime, ballet, opera, and film. There is also a statue portraying the mermaid in Copenhagen, Denmark, where the story was written and first published. Next, we have Mermaid. In folklore, a mermaid is an aquatic creature with the head and upper body of a female human and the tail of a fish. Mermaids appear in the folklore of many cultures worldwide, including Europe, Asia, and Africa. Mermaids are sometimes associated with perilous events such as floods, storms, shipwrecks, and drownings. In other folklore traditions, they can be benevolent or beneficent, bestowing boons or falling in love with humans. The male equivalent of a mermaid is a merman, also a familiar figure in folklore and heraldry. Although traditions about and sightings of mermen are less common than those of mermaids, they are generally assumed to coexist with their female counterparts. The male and the female collectively are sometimes referred to as merfolk or merpeople. Now, the most interesting part is nowhere in there did it list a specific color that the mermaid is supposed to be, right? Now, one can say that the Danish author wrote it from the perception, right? Wrote it from the point of view that he is going to view anything that is half human as looking like himself, meaning his ethnicity, right? Meaning the women that are there. That doesn't specifically mean that that is what a mermaid is going to look like. To further go into that, they also stated from the other information on Wiki that the folklore, right, surrounding mer people comes into play with Europe, Asia, and Africa. So you have a variety of places. You at least got three places where, in a sense, if we're going by point of view, they would look differently, right? And then on the whole other aspect, right, that when people happen to write stories or when people happen to delve into stories, they can be at their own liberty, right, to change how it is that a person looks, correct? So, case in point, somebody can, somebody who knows the Bible better than me can correct me, right? The one main thing that I understood when I was younger was in the back of the Bible, which is the main thing that, they didn't really go over. They only went, so far. It said that Jesus had hair of wool, skin of bronze. But when I see the image, right, of Jesus in all of these churches, he looks like a homeless white male, which means that the people who wrote the Bible decided to make him in their own image, right? As if to say that they are the closest ones to God, as if to say that they are of the direct lineage, right, of God, when in the Bible it says something vastly different, because that description doesn't fit any of the narratives that I've ever seen with white people at all, right? But yet, you don't, in a sense, see fields of, black people going up in arms, saying like, "Oh yeah, this needs to get changed. You need to take down all of these images and these pictures. I'm going to boycott this and boycott that if you don't bring the real, image of Jesus directly in here." You also have some other people that will say, like, once they find out, they're like, "Oh, but why does it matter? Who is it actually hurting? Does it really matter that he is actually this color, but they portray him as this color? The only thing that should matter is that you know the truth, and that's it, right?" So I go off of it like that, right? We know that this is a Danish tale from what we were able to hear. We know that this is, in a sense, a tragic story, right? You had somebody trying to be something that they just were not trying to be. It was quite a lot of folklore stories that are actually quite, tragic, that should not even be children tales, but it is what it is. So my whole look at this is, if you know for the greatest majority of time that the perception of how it was written by the author was for it to, in a sense, look like you, even though when you look at the folklore dealing with the sea and dealing with these creatures are, in a sense, like humanoid in appearance. They're not the most beautiful things. Their teeth are looking like piranhas, or something else directly out there. Like, if we were to go for actual depictions of how mermaids are supposed to go, they're gonna be looking quite crazy, and ain't nobody about to, realistically, you know, try to get with that, right? Because in our minds, whenever it comes to, different types of creatures, human wise, people, try to imagine them as being human like, as to, in a sense, be like you. Or in some instances of some different mythological creatures, they can, in a sense, take on part of the appearance of, a human being in order to make better use of some sort of attack, or in order to, escape, or, different things of that nature. um like I said, because the usual way that this takes place, if we're looking at, let's say, mythology, the only way that you would have see people like this existing is by way of somebody like Poseidon or Zeus, who decided that they wanted to have some fun with a fish or some other sea creature out there, and from that would end up birthing, right, the Little Mermaid that everybody is used to. Like, oh yeah, Ariel, she's white, she's this, she's that. How did she get like that? Because somebody did something. And I'm going to put it like this: if we're going to deal with the specific thing of Ariel being Caucasian, right, that would mean that somebody along the lines in Europe decided that, hey, it would be a great look if I decided to sleep with this sea creature. Don't know what it was, but I'm going to sleep with this sea creature, and I'm just going to continuously do it because I wanted to do it. And then from that started birthing these sea people. Nobody sees a problem with that either. That sounds a little bit like some type of bestiality or fishology, or whatever you want to sit up there and call it. Like I said, you can take this a variety of different ways, a variety of different ways. But like I said, whenever these stories are put directly out, the writers or whoever, has the licensing, they're able to do specifically whatever they want to do with, right, these folklores, these mythologies, these stories, right. And the funny part is, this is mythology, so it just depends on who has control of the work, right? Just like the Bible, whoever has control of the work, or whoever's been writing the work, they're going to make it more reflective of them versus everybody else. The Bible is pretty much Caucasian. It's not really encompassing, every single group directly on this planet. It's not encompassing every single tribe on this planet, that people that either went extinct, or the ones that people don't know about. And I'm talking about people that live in the Amazon rainforest, people that live off the coast of, like, the Philippines, or people in Indonesia. People that swim with the fish, and they spend the majority of their life in the water, so their bodies and their eyes are vastly different versus everybody else's on the planet. Like, that's what I'm sitting up there saying, right? Everything is up for that person's viewpoint, that perception. or what it is that they're specifically trying to get across. Or maybe they just want to add something new because it's been looking the exact same way for all these years. I don't know. But whenever I think about fish people, I think about blue people. That's it. If we're going to be real about stuff, I realistically feel that people who live under the sea are either more than likely going to be blue, or depending on how far deep they live in the sea, their skin is going to be clear, like some of the other, um, fish that we see, let's say in the mammoth caves. Because there's no sunlight, because of how dark it is, and because where they're located, they have no pigmentation because they don't have to worry about the UV light. So pretty much everything is in there is clear. You got spiders that are clear, you got some insects that are clear, you got fish that are clear. Deep sea in the ocean, you have the exact same thing that transpires because they don't have to worry about pigmentation. Why? Because the sun is not reaching that deep. Now, when it gets to the point where they start to come a little bit up and touching a little bit of sunlight, that's going to affect them negatively, right? So, for all intents and purposes, if we're realistically going to be looking at it how it is, we're going to be looking at groups of creatures that are going to have protections from the sun, protection from UV rays. So the main ones that have protection from UV rays are who? That are actually in existence at this moment in time, and that's not a fairy tale or folklore. Black people. Somebody who has melanin, somebody who has color directly to their skin to protect them from that sunlight. Ariel directly out, like, oh, let me just sit up here and pop directly out of the water, and let me bask in the sunlight and not get burned. Okay. But like I said, that's just my viewpoint. That's just my viewpoint. But you got people online that that want to feel a certain type of way, and they want to start saying a variety of things in the disguise of they're just trying to hold on to the original writings. But realistically, under that, they're coming forth and showing their racism.